Audible cheat sheet on the final episode of Vin Doux Naturels, where we will cover appellations, wine styles, and the business context that holds this category together. At the onset, I'm going to excuse myself from any mispronounced French terms. I am giving it my best. So let's start. VDNs are produced in several regions of southern France, but they represent a very small proportion of total wine production. Each appellation has its own permitted grape varieties, styles, and maturation options, and understanding these distinctions is essential at D5 level. Let's begin in the Rhône Valley. VDNs form only a tiny part of Rhône production, and there are just two VDN appellations here: Muscat de Baume de Venise and Vin Doux Naturels Rastoux. Muscat de Baume de Venise is planted on terraced southeast facing slopes of the Dante de Montmiral. These slopes provide shelter from the cold northerly Mistral wind, allowing grapes to ripen early. The vast majority of production is white VDN made from Muscat Blanc à Petit Grain. A dark skinned mutation, Muscat à Petit Grain Rouge, is also permitted and can be used for red and rosé VDNs. Muscat de Baume de Venise is almost always made in an unaged style. Wines are typically medium bodied with medium acidity and relatively low alcohol for a fortified wine, around 15% ABV. Protective winemaking preserves primary aromas and flavors such as blossom, grape, peach, and honey. Domaine des Bernardins is a notable producer. Vin Doux Naturels Rastoux allows more stylistic flexibility. Wines can be red, rosé, or white and can be made in either unaged or oxidative styles. Rosé is produced by the Sanier method and fortified off the skins. Only a very small amount of white is made. Most Rastoux wine, VDN, is red. These wines must contain a minimum of 75% Grenache Noir with up to 25% Grenache Gris and Grenache Blanc permitted. Other southern Rhône varieties may also be included. Vineyards are planted on gentle south-facing slopes that maximize sunlight exposure, and the enclave location offers some protection from the mistral. Grapes become very ripe, producing juicy, almost jammy fruit flavors. Unaged styles show cherry and plum aromas, while oxidative styles develop dried fruit and nut characteristics. Alcohol levels are generally low to medium for fortified wines, typically between 16 and 18% ABV. Moving west into the Languedoc. VDNs also make up only a small proportion of Languedoc production. The two key appellations here are Muscat de Frontignan and Muscat de Saint-Jean de Minervois. Both must be made in an unaged style and exclusively from Muscat Blanc à Petit Grain. Muscat de Frontignan is the larger appellation. It is located at low altitude southwest of Montpellier, resulting in a relatively warm climate. Wines tend to have fuller body and aromas that include tropical fruit. Muscat de Saint-Jean de Minervois is located further inland at elevations of around 250 to 300 meters. The cooler conditions give wines higher acidity, lighter body, and aromas focused on stone fruit and flavors. The most important region for VDN production is Roussillon. Here, VDNs account for a significant proportion of total wine output. There are 6 VDN appellations, and together they represent around 26% of all PDO and PGI wine production in Roussillon by volume. Roussillon VDNs are made in a wide range of styles which are communicated through specific labeling terms. Grenat and Rimage indicate unaged red VDNs. Grenat is used in Maury and Rivesaltes, while Rimage is used in Bagnols. Blanc refers to unaged white VDNs. Tuilé and traditional indicate oxidatively aged red VDNs. Tuilé is used in Murray and Rivesaltes, while traditional is used in Bagnols. Ambré refers to oxidatively aged white VDNs. Ordage applies to red or white VDNs that have undergone longer oxidative aging than Tuilé or Ambré styles. Rancio describes red or white VDNs with distinctive Rancio character, resulting from extended oxidative aging. The Grand Roussillon AOC covers a largely clearly defined area and can be used for VDNs produced outside the five principal Roussillon appellations. It can also include wines declassified from those appellations. Within Roussillon, several individual appellations are particularly important. First, Pagnol AOC. This is located at the eastern end of the Pyrenees, bordered by the Mediterranean Sea and Spain. Vineyards are planted on steep terraced schist slopes. Most VDNs are red and must contain at least 50% Grenache Noir, with Grenache Blanc and Grenache Gris also permitted. A small amount of white VDNs is produced. Domaine Vial Magneret is a notable producer. Second, Bagnol Grand Cru AOC covers the same geographical area but applies only to red VDNs. These wines must contain a minimum 75% of Grenache Noir and can be aged for at least 30 months. Wines aged for longer periods may also classify as Ordage or Rancio. Third, Maury AOC is located in the north of Roussillon in the foothills of the Pyrenees at elevations between 100 to 400 meters. Vineyards are planted on dark schist soils that absorb heat during the day and release it at night, aiding ripening. Most VDNs are red and must contain at least 75% Grenache Noir. A small amount of white VDN is produced, usually in an unaged style. The same delimited area can also produce dry, unfortified wines labeled Maurice Sec AOC. Fourth, Muscat de Rivesaltes AOC is the largest VDN appellation in Roussillon by volume. Wines are typically made from a blend of Muscat Blanc à Petit Grain and Muscat of Alexandria and are produced only in an unaged style. And the last, Rivesaltes AOC, is the most stylistically diverse appellation. Both red and white VDNs can be made in Grenat, Tuilé, Ambré, Ordage, and Rancio styles. White wines may contain up to 20% muscat varieties, with the remainder coming from Grenache Blanc, Grenache Gris, Macabeo, and Malvaise. Red wines are made mainly from Grenache Noir. Domaine Cassé is a significant producer. Finally, the business context. VDNs are a tiny and highly specialized category within French wine. Around 80% of all VDNs are produced in Roussillon. Within the region, production is approximately 10 million liters, representing about 18% of total Roussillon wine output. Consumption is overwhelmingly domestic. In 2022, only around 2% of VDN production was exported. Of that small export share, the top value markets were the United Kingdom, Japan, and Germany. For the D5 exam, the final insight is this: VDNs are defined not by a single style, but by a tightly regulated network of appellations, labeling terms, and maturation choices. Roussillon dominates production, Rhône and Languedoc offer more narrowly defined expressions, and the category as a whole survives through domestic demand and stylistic diversity rather than export volume. I hope this has helped. This has concluded our series on VDNs, and I'll see you at the next episode on Rutherglen Muscat.